Let's take a look at the difference between classic and motion tweening in Adobe Animate.
TipTut.
Hello everybody and welcome back to TipTut. Today we're inside of Adobe Animate looking at the difference between classic and motion tweening. You can see here that I've got a really simple timeline set up. It is a floor layer which just has our floor and background on it for 60 frames, and then an individual layer with a classic and motion tweened symbol on each. This lighter color is the classic and this darker one is the motion tween. As you can see, they're right on top of each other at the start of the animation, and I'm just going to be doing the same or similar animations to each of them using the classic tween for one and the motion tween for the other. Let's start with the classic tweens. I'm just going to hide my motion layer and I'm going to go to my last frame, hit F6 and position it where I want that last frame to be. Okay, let's now add in a classic tween, and as you can see it's obviously going to animate linearly between those two frames. Totally fine. Let's go to say 12 frames in and hit F6. And I'm just going to drag my ball down so that it bounces a little bit. It's going to fall down, bounce. Then by frame 24, we want it to be up in the air over here a bit. By frame 36, down on the floor over here. By frame 48, just up like this. And then by frame 60, it's going to hit this kind of finish area here. Now, just taking a look at this at a glance, looks okay. Not super great, and it's difficult to see how and where this path of animation is going to go. If you wanted to add easing to this, you'd have to go up to your easing options here and choose things like ease out and choose one of these options, circ or bounce. Circ is probably going to be the best one. Let's take a look at that. Double click to apply, and that's just going to add a little bit of simple easing to the in section. So bouncing out. We could try adding circ to this one as well. Ease in, circ. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, that second circ's a bit too intense, so we'll just forget that. So undo that second circ. Okay, so with that amount of time put into that animation, as you can see, it doesn't look great. You've got a little bit of easing going on. You could continue to tweak this. If you wanted to add a bit of a curve to this motion, you'd have to see what's going on. You'd have to go to your onion skin settings, say like show the previous however many frames. I think what's the maximum you can do? It's 4, seems to be 4. Show the previous 4 amount of frames. Come over into here, add a keyframe in. Start to like tweak so that your frames are even, and then scrub through. And as you can see, where I've affected that ease, it's kind of messed that up a little bit because I've already put that easing in there as well. So quite a destructive way of animating classic animation, classic tweening. So let's hide that and take a look at motion tweening instead. I'm just going to change my onion skin settings back to 2. And let's go up to this layer with no keyframes and just add create motion tween. Now that's going to create like a yellow highlight here. And this time I'm just going to animate straight ahead. I'm not going to bother putting in a finishing keyframe, and I'll show you why in a second. Let's go to frame 12 and I'm just going to drag this ball around. It's going to automatically create a keyframe for us. That's one of the first few benefits of using motion tweening. Let's go to frame 24 and move it up into the air. Okay, so you can already see it started to create this interesting path. Let's finish off quickly the rest of our paths. Again, because we do have these paths, we can see how and where it's animating and much more easier. And let's just position it over there. So, first of all, the biggest benefit, we can see the path that our animation has taken. Second benefit is you can adjust that path really easily without adding extra keyframes. For example, with your selection tool selected, you can just click and drag on one of these lines when the curved line appears, and you could adjust the path that that ball takes. Clicking on one of the keyframe points, you could adjust the position of that initial keyframe. For example, I can now tweak this ball so that it starts falling slowly and starts falling a bit quicker as it falls to the ground. So as you scrub, you can see there, it falls quicker the closer it gets to the ground. On this path here, maybe I want it to curve a little bit this way. Maybe I want it to come up in a similar level of speed, which would make sense. So I'm going to align these sections here until it reaches its apex, where it's going to slow down. I'm going to try and make even distance between these two. It's going to hit the ground here. We're going to add in a curve and add in a final curve here. Now here at this point, it's just going to stop and look a bit weird, but that's okay. Let's have a look at what that looks like. So automatically you can see that straight away, that's a much better animation. Not only that, you can start to tweak this with a bit of greater ease. For example, you can move the exact keyframe points and still individually adjust your easing, all with just a few simple clicks. Now look me in the eye and tell me that doesn't look better for the amount of time put in than that, than that. There we go. I got a bit confused with the layers there. Let's turn both of them on. Remember, dark is motion and light is classic. Immediately, same amount of time spent working onto them, much better. So as you can see, motion tweening for complex paths is fantastic. It works in a similar way to other motion paths like in After Effects, and you get a much more complex level of control in a much more simpler way. So that's hopefully quite a neat little trick for you guys. Make sure you start using your motion tweening paths in Adobe Animate. And hopefully I'll see you next time on another episode of TipTut for more cool tricks inside of Adobe Animate. I'll see you there.
Remember to subscribe for more tips, tricks, and tutorials. Thanks for watching.